but I didn't like it when it was looking at it through pictures. This time on Low Boost, I'm going to tell you the 5 things I love and 5 things I absolutely hate about the new BMW G87 M2. And make sure to stick around to the end of the video because I'm going to give you my final hot take. I'm not just making this video to make a video. I'm an avid 2 Series fan. I've had an F22 M235i, so I really think that I'm personally invested in BMW's decisions. So here we go on my top things I love and hate about the new M2.
Number 1.
The first thing I love about the G87 M2 is the engine. The S58 that it's getting is already legendary and it hasn't even been out for that long. This thing makes a ton of power right out of the box, and it makes even more power with just mild modifications. And in a car like the M2, it's gonna absolutely work perfectly. I don't think there's a better engine they could put in this thing, and I like the B58. I own a B58 car, and I'm really happy that they put the S58 in this car because it's that much better.
Number 2.
The next thing I really absolutely love about the new G87 M2 is the interior. The dashboard in this car is going to be completely different to every car that has been made prior to it. And it's just right on line with all of the new BMWs that are coming out in 2023. So as opposed to even the first year G80 M3s or any of the other cars from prior, they're not going to get that full touchscreen, full digital dash. Some people don't like it. Me personally, I absolutely do. It's very easy to reach inside the car, and it just the full functionality of it is great.
Number 3.
The next thing I really love about the G87 M2 is the seats. And obviously there are different seat packages, but the seats that you can get in this car look absolutely amazing. I obviously haven't sat in one yet, but I can tell just by looking at these seats that I'm gonna fit in them great. I fit in the G80 seats just fine, and just the look of these seats just look absolutely amazing, and there's no other BMW like it right now.
4.
The next thing that I absolutely love about this car is that BMW is still staying pure to its roots and still giving us a manual transmission car, which I know it's not all-wheel drive, but hey, I'll take a rear-wheel drive and a stick any day. My M235 was rear-wheel drive and a stick shift, and I just think that's a great combination for a BMW. Part of the reason why I loved my M235 was because it was rear-wheel drive and stick, and it really reminds me of the E46 M3, which was rear-wheel drive and stick shift. I just think it's great for a pure driver's car, and they're still giving that to us today. I don't know for how much longer, but if any way we can save the manuals, I'm down for it.
5.
And obviously, the best thing I like about this thing is the price. It is significantly less expensive than the G80 and G82 counterparts. Obviously optioned out, you're going to be probably spending close to 75 grand, my guess, but you can get a carbon roof and the competition pack seats. I think that's like a $8,000 to $10,000 option, and it comes with a lot of cool stuff for track use. It has the top speed limiter removed. Not that anybody's going that fast on a public road or even a track, but just to know that the car does 180 miles an hour is pretty cool. Next, I'm going to get into the things that I absolutely hate about the new M2.
Number 1.
I'm going to try to be as objective as possible as I can with this because I actually like the look of the new G80 and G82 after it came out and I got to see it in person, but I didn't like it when it was looking at it through pictures. I don't like the front of this car. I don't think it looks great. It doesn't have the bunny rabbit fronts like the G80 does, but they could have did a better job with the scoops in the front and everything. To me, I still think the F87 M2 front end looks a hell of a lot better. I also am not a huge fan of the rear end. I just think at this point BMW is just not making cars look as nice as they used to even one generation ago. To me, the F87 M2 is one of the nicest looking BMWs that has ever been made, and I just think they took a step back with this.
This episode is brought to you by Extreme Powerhouse. Whether you have a BMW, a Kia Stinger, an Audi, or a Ford Mustang, make sure you check them out. They have a number of performance parts for a ton of different makes and models. And if you go on there and use my coupon code that I'll put in the description below, you'll get access to some extra special discounts. Number 2.
I know this is a reach and maybe a gripe, and maybe it's going to come to fruition and we'll get one, but as of right now, we're not getting an all-wheel drive version of the M2. And if you really want to get in a drag racing comparison and compete with the RS3, you gotta have all-wheel drive. And this car just doesn't compete with the RS3 from a dig in any configuration because it's not all-wheel drive. And BMW is kind of dropping the ball on that.
Number 3.
The next thing I absolutely hate about the new BMW M2 is the wheels. On the M2, you get a choice of 19 in the front, 20 in the back, or 20 in the front, 21-inch wheels in the back if you get the track package. And to me, that's just not gonna cut it for a rear-wheel drive car. This is my BMW E36 Turbo LS swap. This is actually not a wide tire, it's a tall tire. And traction, when you're especially coming out of a hole on a car, doesn't necessarily matter as much so how wide your tire is, but how tall your sidewall is, because this actually wrinkles when you launch. And on a 21-inch wheel, you're gonna have about that much tire, and you're just not gonna get good traction out of the hole with that thing. I don't care how much traction assist you have, you're just not gonna be able to come out hard with it. It's also why I think they're saying 3.9, 4.1 seconds 0 to 60. It should be faster than that if you had a proper tire.
Number 4.
The next thing I hate about this thing is it's got the same wheelbase as the G82 M4. So it's not a small compact car anymore like it was prior with the F87, which that was the main reason I liked the 2 Series more than the 3 Series or the 4 Series, was because it was small. It reminded me of the older cars like the E46 M3. And this car just doesn't have that with that wheelbase. The interior of the car is probably a lot bigger, but because it has a longer wheelbase, I'll give you the biggest gripe I have about this car.
Number 5.
The biggest thing I hate about the new M2 is that it weighs only 30 pounds less than the M4 in the same configuration of a rear-wheel drive and a stick shift. 30 pounds! 3,800 pounds in a 2 Series? It's no longer a light, compact, sporty BMW anymore. It's a big, heavy car that you might as well just get a G82. I mean, it's still $20,000 less, and that's great, but where's the weight savings? Where's the benefit of that? I'm hoping you get a good driving experience out of it, because I just don't know if you're gonna with a car that weighs that much. At least not like the old ones. Right now, F87 owners are just like, oh, my car's worth $100,000, because that car's worth a lot. Gonna be worth a lot, because is the F87 M2 the last pure driving BMW that BMW is gonna make? All in all, I still have high hopes for the M2, and maybe it's a car that I could consider once I see it in person, but as of right now, I am probably not considering that car. A lot of us love the 2 Series and loved that it was different from the 4 and that it was smaller and a more compact car. And I know I'm not the only one. I know you guys are out there, if you're watching this video, you feel the same way that I do. And if BMW is not gonna make a car like that anymore, well, maybe we're just gonna have to buy a car from a company that does. I said what I said.